Hey everyone, Kyle once again, and welcome back to another Christmas movie review. And so after I review the 20th anniversary of Elf, which with Will Ferrell, which I'm overall not a fan of. So here to review another Christmas film that I would say overall I'm not a fan of either, but to me I think it's much better than. To me, even though it's not saying much, I think I prefer this movie than Elf. And I think because actors in this, I think especially one actor, I think he's much more funnier than Will Ferrell, because I think I prefer him more because I enjoy him more as an actor. But I'm still overall not a fan of the film, but I think I prefer this more than Elf. So for this one, so if you prefer, Elf was 2003, 20 years this year. So by next year, 2024, it'll be 20 years since this film came out. So you can say like a pre-20th anniversary for this film. So, and that is of the 2004 Christmas comedy film called Christmas with the Kranks. Stars Tim Allen, it stars Jamie Lee Curtis and Dan Aykroyd. And like I said, I'm not big on this film either, but to me, I would get more chuckles out of this than I did with Elf. And like I said, I prefer Tim Allen more than Will Ferrell. So, but the film did make kind of a bit of money, made $96 million worldwide, but the film was panned by critics. It's a 5% on Rotten Tomatoes, and I think it has a 5.4 on IMDb, but it did make quite a bit of money, I would say. And the film is directed by Joe Roth, which Joe Roth, if you don't know, during times he co-founded the studio of Morgan Creek Productions. He was a co-founder of that, and during some time he was the chairman of 20th Century Fox. And then from 89 to 93, he was even a chairman of Walt Disney Studios from 94 to 2000, and he founded the studio Revolution Studios in 2000, which probably can see the logo right here below where my finger is. Revolution Studios. He founded that. But as a director, he directed Revenge of the Nerds 2. He directed Freedom Land. That was a film with Sam Jackson, Julianne Moore, and America's Sweethearts. But he's more known as a producer and executive producer more than directing. I mean, he was a producer on quite a bit of films, including Young Guns, which I enjoy, Angels in the Outfield, While You Were Sleeping, even the films of nowadays, like from even probably say 10 years ago, Snow White and the Huntsman, Tim Burton's Alice in Wonderland, Oz the Great and Powerful, Maleficent, In the Heart of the Sea. Even the ones that came out this year, like Peter Pan and Wendy, the one that came out for Netflix, I think. Doolittle, that was dog shit. Triple X, Return of Xander Cage, that was disappointing sequel. But yeah, he's just more of a producer or executive producer more than directing. And the film is produced and written in screenplay and producer. It's written and produced by director Chris Columbus. Chris Columbus, who directed Home Alone 1 and 2, Adventures of Babysitting, the first two Harry Potter films, Only the Lonely. He produced The Goonies. It was Richard Donner who directed The Goonies. He produced it as well. But Chris Columbus, he also directed Pixels with Adam Sandler. But he wrote and produced this film. And quite a bit of cast members, like I said, the story is Tim Allen and Jamie Lee Curtis, they're the Kranks. They have a daughter named Blair, which she goes away on a trip, and during the time when Christmas is coming around, so Tim Allen decides instead of celebrating Christmas this year, they're gonna go on him and Jamie Lee Curtis's wife. They're gonna go on a cruise ship instead, a luxury cruise ship for Christmas. So they're not gonna celebrate Christmas. And it's based on a novel called Skipping Christmas, I think it was. And during this time when I was 13 when this came out. I watched the film quite a couple of times since I saw I did see this in the theater, honestly, really enough, because I was 13. So, but after that, I saw this film quite a couple of times. And the times I thought that it was Tim Allen, he was the bad guy in this film, but I haven't seen the film. Even though I haven't watched this film in years, though, now I realize Tim Allen and Jamie Lee Curtis, they're not the bad guys in this movie. I mean, they just wanted to. What is it against the law to not celebrate Christmas this year? Is it not against the law to not put decorations or anything, right? What to me, it's if you spend a lot of time in the cold in the winter, why not go on a nice sunny luxury cruise? Long time for years I thought they were the bad guys, but nowadays they're not. It's the nosy neighbors. They're the real villains. They don't know the definition of minding your own business, or it's none of their business. No, because it's either because this whole neighborhood, especially it's being led by Dan Aykroyd, which by the way this is his fourth film that he did with Jamie Lee Curtis. First being with Trading Places and the My Girl movies, and then this film. And he's kind of like the leader of this neighborhood, And it's like, hey, you either join the neighborhood or else, I'm like, these neighbors, especially Dan Aykroyd and all the nosy neighbors, mind their own business. I'm like, it makes it seem like not celebrating Christmas in this neighborhood is against the law. You don't break. It's like you don't break tradition. I'm like, I wouldn't blame Tim Allen for Jamie Lee Curtis want to go on a cruise. Why not? It sounds fun because, hey, let me go on that cruise. Because I haven't been on a cruise in over 15 years. Fact, I'm like, just what is wrong with not going on a cruise on Christmas? To Dan Aykroyd and the rest of the neighbors, it's against the law. It's like they own the neighborhood. You either join us or else. I'm like, first of all, it's none of your business. Stay out of my business. It's not your concern. We do whatever the hell we want. We don't need to obey you, okay? Jeez. I think it's one thing. This is where someone needs to mind the term "minding their own business" really sets the tone of this movie. So. And like they even try to make these carolers. They have these carolers sing in front of their house until they get annoyed. They don't want to buy a tree. Okay, they don't want to buy a tree. It's fine. But and one of the neighbors is also played by Emmet Walsh. Emmet Walsh. He's been from the original Blade Runner. He's been among other films if you recognize him. Emmet Walsh. He was also a small part of Narrow Margin, Free Willy 2, little role in A Time to Kill, Racing Stripes. You recognize him, Emmet Walsh. But he plays also one of the neighbors. And so, and then they get the hijinks, ensues, like having the carolers sing in front of their house. Or they want to put a Frosty, the giant Frosty snowman on their roof, which everyone does have. I'm like, put yours up, or else. And the point where they're saying free Frosty. How about take your Frosty the Snowman and stick him up your ass then? All of you the kids, like free Frosty. I'm like, no, you stick your Frosty and stick it up your ass then. How about that? There's your free Frosty. Free him up your ass. And so, Then Jamie Lee Curtis, she tries to drive away. Dan Aykroyd's trying to stop her. He gets his fingers caught in the window. He falls down, but his gloves are still caught in the in Jamie Lee Curtis's window. And Tim Allen has them try on bikinis in the mall. And you see, which I kind of say, it was funny to see Jamie Lee Curtis in a bikini. I'm like, wow. Wow, I was like seeing her in a bikini. I'm like, wow. And so they make the front page. They're big news. I'm like, geez, what is wrong with these people? I'm like, they just want to go on a cruise, okay? What's the big deal? So what? So, and to get the more hijinks, like Tim Allen make the ice slippery, people to slip on though. Even there's an instance where the cat freezes. It was a neighbor's. I think it was Emmet Walsh's cat that freezes. And a lot of the jokes, I think it's not that funny either. I mean, there's an instance right here where Tim Allen gets Botox injection, his face freezes up, and he's trying to eat. It falls out of his mouth. I think it kind of just went on just a little bit, even though that wasn't long of a scene though. But still, I think it still dragged on further enough. And so, just about when they're ready to pack up, their daughter calls. She's coming home for Christmas. They're bringing her fiance over. So now they're just scrambling all of a sudden to get their house decorated. Like Tim Allen puts up the frosty, falls over, and didn't get this. Why I don't know why they throw this in. Why give him the frosty like evil glowing eyes? I mean, the time when they're hiding in the cellar, the frosty is having glowing evil eyes, and then this even on the roof. But he falls over, the thing breaks, and the kid's like, "Oh, poor Frosty," and Tim Allen's like, poor Frosty in my eye." So everyone in the neighborhood, they gather around, they tell what's going on. Dan Aykroyd has the neighbors help, and despite the fact, oh, he's a jerk and all that. No, you're the one who's being the jerks for trying to stick your nose into their business anyway. You're the ones being the jerks overall. So they get the Christmas tree, and they get these two cops, which I'm like, I think it's like out of the blue cameos. I'm like, really? Because they have these two cops played by Jake Busey and Cheech Marin. Jake Busey, Gary Busey's son. Cheech Marin from Cheech and Chong, among other films he starred in. They're cops. I'm like, okay. All of a sudden, these guys are cops. I'm like, this is like out of the blue, random cameos, I would say. But because they're trying to sell like calendars, I'm like, the calendars they're selling, like especially these cops posing in calendars. I'm like, I wouldn't want to buy these calendars. But I guess for charity, I guess though. But still, I wouldn't buy these calendars with these cops posing and stuff like that. But it's supposed to be the joke, right? But they were sent to pick up the daughter and their fiance, but they're not ready yet, so they had to stall a little bit. They thinking they're trying to find a burglar, but there's actually a burglar. In which they throw this plot line in too as well. So with this burglar as well, he's put in the backseat of the car while everyone's getting ready. They get there, the party's going on, and like the kid, I think it's Dan Aykroyd's kid, lets the guy out of the car because he says, "Oh, I haven't eaten 3 days, and I have kids," and stuff like that. So he lets him out. The guy starts to rob the place, and Tim Allen, he's thinking he's kind of moping because he can go on his cruise. I'm like, oh, I spent weeks on this. It's longer than they've been dating. I'm like, and Jamie Lee Curtis like, everyone sacrificed their Christmas to help us, which they needed to do in the first place, but still. And so he goes across the street and gives good talks to Emmet Walsh, gives them their cruise tickets to them, and then shows out how much he's not a jerk no more. But it was the neighbors who were jerks in the first place anyway. And then the guys were the burglar, which I don't know why they threw this whole burglar plot in. He starts robbing, and then he gets stopped by a Santa Claus with an umbrella. Because earlier in the beginning of the movie, when it was pouring down rain, there's a guy in a Santa suit selling umbrellas, which Tim Allen refuses to buy, and the whole joke was he was getting soaking wet when a whole bunch of water comes down on him. Yeah, it's supposed to be funny. And the guy who plays the Santa selling umbrellas, I think it's the same guy. I forget the guy's name. He's the same guy who was in Short Circuit. In Short Circuit, he was the guy who manufactured the robots for Nova. He was the guy who helped started the whole making the robots for Nova. Yeah, it was that guy. I forget the guy's name though, but he was in Short Circuit, the guy who manufactured the robots, who Steve Guttenberg was working for. He's the guy who plays the Santa in this. Even there's a scene earlier where he was talking to Jamie Lee Curtis, and he knows her name, and he knows people else's names, and nobody knows who he is. And gives him an umbrella, and then everyone goes inside and shows him indication that he's the real Santa, because you see his car flying with reindeer, so it shows basically he is the real Santa. Now, yes, I'm not big on this movie either, but to me, even though most of the jokes I think was funny, but I would still get more laughs I did than with Elf, you know? I mean, Tim Allen I think is much better than Will Ferrell, because even for another Christmas film, the Santa Claus is much better than Elf. Let alone better than this movie, though, but still. But I prefer Tim Allen more. Even I prefer Jamie Lee Curtis more. Dan Aykroyd, I do like Dan Aykroyd, though, but, it's the whole thing. It makes it seem like that these two guys, this couple here, they make it seem that they're the villains, but actually they're not. I don't know what's wrong going on a cruise on Christmas. To me, it's just the neighbors. They just know when to mind their own freaking business. I'm like, it's none of your business. We have a right to go on a cruise on Christmas if we wanted to. It's like, you're in this neighborhood. You do what we say or else. This is basically what Dan Aykroyd, he's the one that kind of runs the neighborhood. Like what Jamie Lee Curtis says. What's the guy's name? Victor. He lives and breathes for this neighborhood, so he's like the one in charge of this neighborhood. So I'm like, mind your own business. Get out of my face. I'm like, they make it seem like them going on a cruise and not celebrating Christmas is against the law. In this neighborhood, it does. So yeah, years ago, make it seem they're the villains, but nowadays, Tim Allen and Jamie Lee Curtis are not. They just want to have a nice couples trip together. But the neighbors are so nosy, you know. They just didn't know when to mind their own damn business. But I mean, yeah, I did manage to get a chuckle or two though, but overall, most of the humor I didn't think was funny. I mean, I like Tim Allen, I like Jamie Lee Curtis. To me, it was nice. Probably the better parts was nice seeing Jamie Lee Curtis in a bikini. I got more laughs out of that though, but I'm saying, hey, if you like seeing Jamie Lee Curtis in a bikini. I mean, Chris Columbus wrote this, and he produced this though, but he's done better. And this is music by John Denby, which I remember he did the score for The Relic and End of Days. He's done scores from other films too, but those are the two ones I recognize him from the most. But he did better score though than those movies. But yeah, overall, yeah. Do I prefer this more than Elf? Yeah, I do, but it's not saying much. But anyway, that's my review for Christmas with the Kranks. It was like this in the novel called Skipping Christmas. I'm not attentive reading the novel anyway. But yeah, those are my two Christmas movie reviews. If you like Elf or Christmas with the Kranks, that's fine. I'm not big on these movies, but I'm more not big on Elf or this film, but to me, as far as comedic actors go, I just prefer Tim Allen more than Will Ferrell. So I rather prefer this film than Elf. In my opinion, it does. My opinion. But I'm not big on this movie either, so. But yeah, I hope you enjoy these Christmas movie reviews for this year. But thanks for watching. Stay tuned for more, and we'll see you next time. Later.